Assalamu alaikum to everybody that's watching. We're here in the beautiful city of Almaty in Kazakhstan. The day is the 17th of October 2009. We're attending an Islamic conference, and we have some information that we'd like to share with you here with Brother Hasan Muhammad. He's done a lot of work on Islamic law, and we'd like him to share that, his materials, his videos, his books, etc. And perhaps at this point, Muhammad, you could, Hasan, sorry, we could share, you could tell us exactly what you've got.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you. I have produced one book on Islam and Sharia. Its name is Islam or Sharia. It is in my language, Bangla. I have authored one movie on Sharia law, and I have staged a drama on Sharia law. This movie and this drama are actually docu-movies and docu-drama, because in this movie and drama, audience can see the real Sharia books, the Hanafi law written 1400 years ago. This book is included in the syllabus of barristery exam in England. This is Shafi law book, and this book carries.
Can you hold?
This is the Shafi manual written 1400 years ago. This book contains the stamp of Al-Azhar University authenticating the laws. It's not; these two are not books of article. These are just laws, and laws.
Yes.
Born in Bangladesh in a very tolerant and conservative, tolerant and secular Muslim society, we were very happy to see a society of Muslim majority running with complete harmony and peace with other religions and within ourselves. That was about 60 years ago. In last
16 years.
60.
60. How old are you?
How old I am? I am 60 plus.
You're looking good.
Thank you. Then we saw the corrosion of tolerance by many factors like corruption, capitalism, etc., etc. But the major factor was from Islamic sources, because we are Muslim majority country, and our Islamic atmosphere is controlled by our Islamic leaders. Then I moved to the Middle East. I lived in the Middle East for 15 years. So I saw a country and a society, almost 100% Muslims, run by Sharia law. And then now, almost 20 years, I am living in Canada. So I have seen a secular country run by secular law. So I had the chance to compare systems regarding religion. And of course, in last one decade, events like 9/11 and etc., and then American invasion in Afghanistan, in Iraq, genocides, I mean, things moved very fast. As a common person, what we can do? Nothing. One thing always bothered me: the violation of our mothers and sisters in the name of Islam, without reading anything.
So you decided to do something about that?
So I decided to do something about it, and I knew that I had to study. I started studying, and it is about 2 decades now. I have been studying Sharia law. Why Sharia law? Because the mind of the whole world is occupied by hot violence, like beheading, bombing, suicide bombing, genocides. But it is the system and laws that either break or make much more human beings' lives, especially women's.
Mhm.
So my focus came on Sharia law, that is also before about 15, 16 years. And surprising and shocking facts came up through my study.
Like what, for instance?
Like, you want examples?
I do. Yes,
Okay, example is better than explanation.
mhm.
Let us start with this one. No, this one. 1400 years ago, when Islam came, it made a revolution, and it made a revolution regarding human rights that I work on. And women who were not more than substance before, Islam was the driving force that pulled women from the status of a substance, of a property, to a human being. And that was the beginning, that was not the end. But after Prophet died, this is, after Prophet died, what shape was given to Islam by its players?
The followers, when you say players.
Players, the people
Players.
who were in control.
Mhm.
Two types of control were there: political power and male domination, patriarchy.
Mhm.
And there was, in history, there was never any problem for these two to become friends against people, against women. This is from Sahih Bukhari, from Medina University, page number 1081.
Okay.
Islam was defined in the way. After lots of explanations, the Imams decided, as it is now obvious for the Muslims, at first fighting was forbidden, then it was permitted, and after that it was made obligatory against who starts fighting, which is fine, and against all those who worship others along with Allah, that is Jews, Christians,
Yeah.
Trinity, etc. And as mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran and Al-Tawbah and other surah chapters of this. This is a philosophy, right? This is a theory.
So this is a Sharia telling the people.
No, this is Sharia is law. This is not a law. This is a philosophy.
Okay.
Now, this philosophy is translated in Sharia law. Muslim head of state is obliged to be engaged in constant fighting, military fighting, against all the non-Muslim states of the whole world.
So philosophy became Sharia
Law.
and then law.
Yes, Sharia law.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you say that that was 1400 years ago, no, it is still alive and well. Maududi, who established Jamaat, Maulana Maududi, he is the modern architecture. He is the architecture of modern political Islam. In his jihad in Islam, he says that if Islamic State has enough power, it will eradicate all the non-Islamic governments from the face of the earth.
What on earth gives them the justification to make a statement like that?
You ask him. Because he thought that is Islam, that was Islam to him. And today his voice is sounding and resounding from corner to corner of the world. Whoever says what, whoever is a believer of Sharia law has to believe in world Islamic theocracy. Because this book, the institution of Sharia law, is not a benign law book. It is a malignant push towards religious theocracy. Now,
So is there anything in the Quran that would counter this kind of Sharia law, this kind of thinking?
that's a good question. And I asked this question to me before 16, 17 years. And you know what I found? The Quran defines itself. It is not on human being to define what type of Quran is. Quran defines itself. Quran also defines the mission of the Prophet. why God sent prophets to the world. Now, I will just tell you, Quran defined itself as a book of guidance, book of good news, book of advice, and book of enlightenment. And I will give you this reference number. Surah says, well, there are many references, at least 10, 12. On the contrary, there is not a single verse in the Quran that says Quran is there to run countries and governments.
And kill people.
Well, I am trying to limit Quran's definition.
Okay.
Quran is a book of enlightenment, book of guidance, book of admonishment, advice,
Yes.
and book of good news. And you tally this, match this with the mission of all the prophets, not from any human being, but from the Quran.
Mhm.
Quran has at least, I have quoted here, 28 verses
From the Quran.
from the Quran, right? Verses from the Quran where Quran clearly tells the mission of the Prophet was nothing but preach
Warn.
and warn
Mhm.
and reach the message to people. On the other hand, in the whole Quran, there is not a single verse that tells the Prophet came to be the president or prime minister of the country.
Mhm.
So if that is the case, and that is the Islam actually which we experienced in our part of the world,
Yeah. Yes.
and that is why there was peace. And now, why the peace has gone? Since childhood, we were taught to be proud of Muslims' victory from the Middle East to North Africa to Spain. Victory of sword. We were never told to be proud of the peace Islam preachers established from India to Indonesia without a single sword. The biggest Muslim country of the world is Indonesia.
If you look at the history as it's been written, they would make us believe that the Islam was spread by the sword. Is that not true?
Well, show me one single soldier with one single sword, except the saint of Muhammad bin Tariq, Muhammad bin Qasim, from India to Indonesia. Show me one example. There's not. None.
Even in the history of the Sharia and the
Sharia was not there. All the Islam preachers, all of them, maintained the Islam of preaching. No state law, no politics. And that is why it was a peaceful atmosphere for thousands of years. Thousands of years.
Interesting. So what happened?
Now, then I went deeper. So there are lots of things came up. It will take hours to tell you. I'll give you 1, 2 examples.
In a nutshell.
Very nutshell. We are told from childhood that Prophet told that we are leaving 2 things for you, the Quran and my Sunnah, means his decisions, activities. You hold on to it and you will never go astray. Good enough. We grew up with that. And then, when you read Sahih Hadiths, this is one of the Sahih Hadiths, Ibn Majah. Hadith number 3279 or something. 3074. This is the report of our Prophet ﷺ's last sermon in Edip. That was the last time he addressed so many people at one time.
Yeah.
It's a huge incident with huge impact. It says, Prophet said, I have left among you which if you hold fast, you will not go astray. It is Allah's book, the Holy Quran.
Mhm.
So I was perplexed. From where Sunnah came in? I went deeper. I went Sahih Muslim. Hadith number 2803. Same thing is written there. That I am leaving Allah's Quran to you.
So this is all the Prophet said. Just I'm reading
Yes,
the Quran.
yes.
He didn't say anything about.
No, these are, and there are other sources which report the same thing. Then again, in some sources, in one source I got, of the same incidents, of the same speech of the same prophet, the prophet said, I am leaving two things to you. If you hold on fast to it, you will never go astray. One is the Quran, another is my generations, my progeny.
Families. Yeah.
Families.
Yeah.
And then there are other sources, Sahih Hadiths or Islamic sources that say, Prophet said, I am leaving the Quran and my Sunnah to you, hold on fast to it.
So there are two understandings or is three understandings?
Three understandings. One is only Quran. I am leaving Quran. Hold
Oh, I
fast
see.
to it.
One is Quran, one is Sunnah, and one is the family.
Yes. No, one is Quran, one is Quran and Sunnah, one is Quran and Islam.
Okay.
So, these three cannot be correct at the same time. One of them is correct. The rest two are fabricated. Then you have to look at the Muslim's history to know which one he really meant. We were fragmented into different sects. And then when Sharia law came up, that is a very interesting story and very pathetic story.
When you say fragmented into different sects, was that a result of the misinterpretation or the understanding of that, what the Prophet left?
That is one of the elements, but the seed of fragmentation was there in the later years of the Prophet himself. The Prophet knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Prophet knew it. That's why he warned his followers again and again and again that do not fight with each other. Your blood is haram for each other. He used such strong words. But anyway, people normally do not know that Sharia was formulated before collection of hadiths.
Formulated before.
Sharia law also were formulated by our four imams, Hanafi, Shafi, Hanbali and Malik.
Mm-hmm.
They were curious people. When I read their biography, they were really people of principle, people of moral. But then when you go deeper, you will see that actually they wrote very little of what is going on in their name. They are students, and they are students, and they are students, and many of them are palace imams. You know the job of palace imam or palace poet, what they are supposed to do. So this inclusion of foreign materials in the name of the same imam makes it a very puzzling thing. And then let us go to common sense. How many gods are there? Allah, how many?
To my understanding, there's only one.
There is only one. So how many God's law should be there?
Following that logic, there should only be one.
Why we have five?
Well, I think that's what you're here to try and explain to me.
So it's not God's law, number one.
So the Sharia is not God's law.
Sharia law is not God's law. It's established as God's law, but it's not.
So the Quran is God's law, and what is the Sharia then?
Sharia is the produce of the preliminary, primarily our four imams and Jafris also. Then it was enriched or fabricated by other people. See, in the Quran, there are 7 direct laws and few other indirect laws. In hadiths, how many laws you can expect? 30, 40, 50, 100?
Well, judging from the sizes of the books, I would imagine there's a lot more than that.
No. I'm talking about state law.
Mm-hmm.
State law of the government. 100, 200? You know how many laws this book contains? More than 6,000. Shafi law. You know how many laws this Hanafi manual contains? More than 6,000.
So 12,000 laws in those two books alone.
Well, there are similar laws and overlapping laws.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, most of the laws came from other sources, and those are not divine sources.
And are there a lot of contradictions between them?
I'm coming to that. If Sharia is God's law, then we should not find contradiction among these laws, but there are many contradictions. And I have compiled some contradictions in my book. And some contradictions are such that for the same crime, by Shafi law, you will be put to death. By Hanafi law, you will go scot-free.
So you could choose the law that is more appropriate to what you want.
So who can choose the law? The people of power. Well, ultimately, I focused on women's rights, the laws of divorce, the laws of marriage, laws of wife beating, laws of polygamy, unrestricted polygamy, laws of custody, and I saw that these laws are going to Quran Hadith, these laws are upfront unjust, anti-women. So the hand of patriarchy is very clear.
You're talking again about the Sharia law.
Sharia law about women.
Unjust.
Unjust about women.
And
very
this,
unjust.
in terms of the laws written in God's laws, the Quran, just to get back to the point we made earlier, are there any contradiction in that?
There is
in the Quran itself?
There are contradictions.
In the Quran there's contradictions?
Yes. No, not in the Quran.
Okay.
There is contradiction between the Quran and the Sharia laws.
Okay, so there's a problem between the two sources then?
Yes.
Okay.
So then, as a humble Muslim, what I wanted to do, instead of pointing fingers to our imams 1400 years ago, who did what, instead of doing that, I wanted to propose to Muslims an Islamic mechanism by which these laws about women and these anti-women laws can be repealed and pro-women laws can be made from the same Quran, from the same source of the prophets. Because in Sahih Hadith, there are many good Sahih Hadith from the Prophet. An example will clarify it more. Say, for a husband, the Sharia law allows a husband to divorce instantly. Both of them, actually all of them. Except Shias. Zafri law doesn't allow instant divorce.
And does that, that's one of these conflicting things with the Quran? The Quran...
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Sunni, 4 madhabs allows, at least Shafi and Hanafi, allow instant divorce by the husband. Now, without going to the Quran Hadith, don't you realize the torture it creates for the wife? She passed her whole life in this house. She reared her children. This is her home. And the husband in 1 second says, strip that, talak, 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 and she's out on the road. And in this process of divorce, there is no maintenance for the wife.
It doesn't sound very much like the laws of a merciful God, does it?
No, it's not. It's not. So what I did, I went to the Quran and I proposed to observe Surah Baqarah verse 228 and 229, 228, where Quran says, when you want to divorce your wives, count their periods. So now you have to do at least 2 divorces uttered twice before the final divorce, and 1 utterance takes a month. So you have to give at least 2 months.
When you say count periods, what do you mean? They're
monthly periods,
monthly
yes.
cycles. Okay.
Yes, cycles. So instant divorce is anti-Quranic. That's what I proposed in my book. Now come down to the women's right of divorce, right? The Sharia law of women's right of divorce is so cruel. It says that the women have to apply to the court for divorce, and the judge will negotiate with the husband for his permission and how much money he wants, etc., etc. Meanwhile,
how much money he wants?
He wants, because the wife has to pay the husband the bride money which he had given to the wife before.
Well, the dowry.
The dowry actually is not the proper word. Bride money is the proper word.
Bride money.
Bride money. Actually, it is a Quranic dictum that wife will give the bride money back. Now,
that's if he initiates the divorce.
No, I am talking about she.
Okay, just to get that clear.
He initiates the divorce 1 second. Talak, talak, talak,
So
that's done.
if he initiates the divorce, she doesn't have to give anything back.
No.
But if she initiates it, she has to give back.
The dowry back. That's Quranic, which is okay. But the point is, just try to imagine the real scenario. A wife who is normally financially weak, psychologically weak, in Muslim world, they are much less educated than we are, so they are less confident than we are. She has to run to the court off and on, she has to do her job, rear her children, do the kitchen, do the washroom and laundry, and staying with the same husband until the decision is made. Can you imagine the hell for her? And can you imagine how many wives tolerates hell to avoid this hassle?
So is there any other explanation in the Sharia that might give the women better rights?
Okay. Okay, let me quote you from Sahih Bukhari, volume 7, hadith number 206. Ibn Abbas is reporting that still I can envision. See, still I can see Barira, Mughis is running after Barira. Mughis is the husband, Barira is the wife. Mughis is running after Barira. His beard became wet by his tears. Prophet said that Mughis's love for his wife and Barira's indifference to it or negligence to it is very shocking and surprising. It's not exact word, but this is what the hadith says. Then Prophet asked Barira, "Oh Barira, can't you take him back?" Barira asked the Prophet, "Oh Prophet, is it your instruction on me, order on me, or it is just you wish?" Prophet said, "No, it's not an order on you. I just wish it." Barira said, "No, my mind doesn't want him at all." The next explanation is coming to in the tafsir section of Saudi Quran of Mufti Shafi on this incident. It says that Barira knew that Prophet wouldn't mind this.
Yeah.
So Prophet let her live as she wished. So here we see Prophet giving women to divorce on their own account. Right?
So this particular, is this a philosophy or is this a law? It's right in the hadith itself.
It is Sahih Hadith.
Okay.
Volume 7, Hadith
So
number
there's a
206.
contradiction there.
So what we can do, actually, even if there is a contradiction, I don't make a huge noise of it. I want only say that this is injustice, and by this weapon, by this method, we can come out of this injustice.
Is there any way of coming out of this injustice by Quran itself?
Okay, let's come down to Quran now. There is a verse in Al-Azhar, and probably in Al-Anam also. God gave the right to Prophet's wives to leave him or to live with him, or to stay. That was the right given to them.
Does this just apply to the Prophet's wives, or just?
I'm coming to other scenarios. So they stayed with him, that's another story. But the right was given to the wives of the Prophet to decide their marital life on their own accord without running to the courts. Now for the common, well, first of all, why it will not be applied to the common women? It can be, it should be. Now come down to chapter 4, verse 19. Chapter 4, verse 19. Surah Nisa, it says that do not inherit women, the word inherit is there in Arabic, against their will, whom you give the bride money. So the use of bride money confirms that this verse is on wives, right? Because you cannot give bride money to anybody except wife. The word inherit creates some confusion here because the human history. If the brother dies, elder brother dies, his wife automatically becomes the wife of the younger brother.
She doesn't have much choice in it.
No, she has no choice. But here, inherit cannot be like the inheritance of a property, right? But anyway, in any case, if you cannot keep her against her will in marriage, then you cannot keep her against her will in an unhappy marriage bond. We can take the philosophy there too. So if our imams want, they can change this anti-women law to pro-women law by these Quranic verses and these sayings of the Prophet. This is all I propose in my book. And the impact of Sharia law, the first impact of Sharia law is fragmentation of Muslim Ummah at that time. You will be surprised and shocked to know that Imam Shafi was beaten so much by the followers of Imam Malik that he died out of that. Marriage between Hanafis and Shafis was banned. even Kaaba was not spared. There were 4 pulpits in the 4 corners of Kaaba, and we have handwritten picture of it also. So the 4 madhabs in the Hajj used to pray in, after their own imams. It is only in 17th century that Abdul Wahhab destroyed that. So, in a nutshell, what we see, that things went wrong. We have to be engaged in undoing the wrongdoings, but in a very peaceful way.
So is it fair to say then, so as a sort of a conclusion, men and women in the rights of marriage have equal rights? She has equal rights to him, but if anything, he has more responsibility to look after her for a period of time after a divorce takes place?
No. Who will have more responsibility than whom is a social fabric? There are many societies, tribal societies, where women are abundant. They are always have been. So that's not a criteria at all. Even today, there are many families where women are earning. There is no earning men. So there are lots of scenarios, but basic human rights must be equal for both. I will conclude by saying, Raymond, thank you very much for being with me for so long.
Thank you for sharing this information with us.
Yeah, you know, we are living in a global village now. As you know, the speed of a caravan is essentially the speed of its weakest camel. Agree?
I haven't seen a camel train yet, but I can understand the message behind it.
The Western world, doesn't matter how much West progressed, its progress cannot be sustained leaving Muslims behind. Muslims are a very important member of human family. At the same time, Muslims will never have sustainable progress leaving their women behind.
No.
Thank you.
The women teach the children, and if you don't teach the children, then everything gets lost eventually. Thank you very much for coming and sharing these thoughts with us. Thank you.
Question?